7,000 years of chaos. After thousands of years of war and destruction, the world finally achieved peace. 3 great powers emerged and divided the land and its influence among themselves. The most famous of these powers was Sentinia, a magnificent kingdom ruled by an absolute monarch. Her name was Gracia Mentoz. She was known not only for her power, but also for having 14 wives. Her 7th life gave birth to a child in a certain province, and that child gave birth to another, and so on. And so the lineage continued until someone somewhere gave birth to someone else. Why is the lineage so long? Isn't it rude if I just skip it? Han Ju Hyeok complained, furrowing his brow as he stared at the information screen. Reluctantly, he continued reading. After the era of Gracia Mentoz, an even more astonishing figure emerged. Shultera, the supreme ruler of that time. Driven by the ambition to become the strongest, he consumed demonic blood and transformed into a creature far more brutal and powerful than anyone else. Even the world's greatest heroes trembled at the mention of his name. However, arrogance has its limits. When the rebellion occurred, Shultera literally fell into a honey trap. Though he was not killed, he suffered severe injuries and vanished from history. It is said that afterward, he hid in a remote cave to recover his strength and wait for the right time to return. Han Ju Hyeok snorted. So, is the master a direct descendant of Shultera, or whatever his name was? Then his eyes fell on the section of the system regarding rank SSS. There was a rule that made him frown. If he were recognized as the absolute ruler, his status could become a heavy burden. In extreme conditions, he might not be able to access Cossack, the special region that had long served as a testing ground for power. However, there was good news. In compensation for his SSS rank, Han Ju Hyeok received 3 special benefits for his next mission. He stared at the screen intently. The question now is, should I go to Seoul? At that moment, the surroundings were quiet, yet the air was thick with tension. 7 figures cloaked in darkness stood before the young man, their aura blending seamlessly with the gloomy sky above. He stepped forward without hesitation. "Hey," he called out loudly. "Are you the elders of the sky demons?" One of them nodded. "Yes, we are the elders of the sky demons," he replied in a deep voice. "Thank you for recognizing us." The young man narrowed his eyes. "I don't recognize you," he said flatly, "but my teacher told me. He said that I am destined to lead you, the elders of the sky demons, and restore your clan's glory across the continent." The elders looked at each other, then bowed respectfully. To them, those words were a long-awaited command. "I think these are the 7 elders who are still loyal to me," the young man muttered softly. Unexpectedly, all 7 of them shouted in unison, "Long life! Long life! Long life to you!" The young man nodded slightly. "Let's go," he said firmly. "Lead the way." A few steps later, he looked around and breathed a sigh of relief. "I've beheaded all the insect creatures surrounding us," he said. No wonder, he thought. The atmosphere was much calmer now. The young man's eyes widened. "I'm already at level 9? That didn't make sense. Typically, students entered the academy between the ages of 6 and 8 and reached level 20 by the time they graduated at 20. But now, in just a flash, he had surpassed many of the early stages. If I can use this feature correctly, he thought, I can accelerate my progress beyond that of others. He stepped toward one of the elders. "What is your name?" he asked. The old man bowed with dignity. "I am Luxo, first elder." The young man stared at him intently. In that case, Elder Luxo, what should we do first? Luxo sighed heavily and looked serious. There is one important thing, he said. At the moment, I am bound by a special prohibition. Despite having followed all of his master's teachings and advice, his body now seemed unwilling to cooperate. His mind and memories were clear, recalling every detail of the skills he had learned, but his body was unable to execute them. This time, they could only rely on their instincts and abilities. However, amidst the confusion, a firm and confident voice rang out. I am your absolute ruler. Trust me, I will guide you to where the sun shines. A passionate cry echoed. Our master! Long live our master! The Sky Devil's loyalty grows stronger as their resolve deepens. They prepare to continue their journey toward an uncertain yet hopeful destination. Meanwhile, a cheerful voice is heard from an alliance member on the other side. Oppa, it seems our mission this time was a huge success, but there's some bad news too. It turns out that a serial killer named Getrak has emerged on the outskirts of the city of Sentinia. This mysterious figure is known for using 2 pistols simultaneously. They say he's level 40 and can defeat a team of 7 alone. I heard, he continued, that anyone who captures Getrak will receive a reward of 3 million gold. Wait, said another member. Isn't the prize more than 100 million? They looked at each other, realizing that something was amiss. Out of that total prize amount, only a small portion was given as an incentive. Although their union had promised many benefits, they were the ones who had to do all the hard work. Nevertheless, they pressed on, because in this world, loyalty and belief are true strengths. After learning that he would receive an incentive, he made a simple promise. If I get the incentive, you're treating me to a barbecue. Though the words sounded lighthearted, they carried the warmth of the familial bond that had formed. Meanwhile, a young girl observed the face of the man she called Oppa. Pointing to the dark circles under his eyes, which were clearly visible, she said, Lately you've looked tired. I think it's because we've been eating less meat. Suddenly, the holographic screen lit up with the words, Accessing Olympus. Meanwhile, the atmosphere elsewhere began to tense up. Sir, someone is following us, Luxo said seriously. We haven't identified them yet. What should we do? He asked. Their leader calmly decided, let's wait and see first. Meanwhile, Miss Luna remained on another continent. Players on other continents could not receive messages from her. Amidst these communication limitations, a thunderous voice echoed, I found you, you bastard copycat. The fugitive criminal known as Getrak appeared. His face was filled with rage. A punk like you trying to imitate me? You're pretty bold. Now pay for your crimes with your life, you worthless creature. Fortunately, Seiya had already provided information about Getrak. Still, the situation was unfavorable. Though his stats were high, his opponent was already level 40. The 30-level gap between them created tension in terms of both strength and equipment quality. However, deep down, he knew this wasn't just an ordinary quest. It was the most important mission of his life. I can't lose. All I need to do is not fight alone. Luxo looked at him and said firmly, Luxo, I'm ready to serve you. Where did those parents come from? Their enemy, an experienced fighter, muttered softly. His eyes narrowed as he tried to analyze the aura around him. I can't detect it, he whispered nervously. In the tense silence, a commanding voice rang out. Kill him, said Han Ju Hyeok, the young man standing beside the old man. Understood. Luxo, the mysterious old man who didn't seem to possess magical energy yet exuded a deadly pressure, replied. The enemy laughed derisively. Pfft, still, you're just an old man and a snotty kid. Huh, it seems you still have time to talk nonsense.
If that's the case, why don't you just attack me?
But before he could finish his sentence, just now, he froze. What just happened? The legendary assassin Getrak, estimated to be at level 40, lay lifeless. His head had been severed. What is this? Han Ju Hyeok muttered. He had witnessed the battle. Is Getrak actually weak? Or is Luxo far stronger than I thought? I couldn't even see his movements. If only I had a vision skill, maybe I could read the mana flow he was using. Luxo, expressionless, lifted the severed head of his enemy. His head, my lord. Then the system issued a notification. Han Ju Hyeok stared at the bloody head, his heart beating wildly. Am I dreaming? Han Ju Hyeok nodded slowly. Good, Luxo. Everything is going smoothly now. Deep down, he couldn't help but be amazed by his good fortune. I couldn't get a job because my life was such a mess, but who would have thought? I actually got an NPC to give me 100 million gold so easily, he thought, still in disbelief. With determination in his eyes, Han Ju Hyeok stood tall before the elders. Listen carefully, all of you elders, he declared loudly. You will hunt down every living creature around us without protest. Do this for the return of my glorious self. He clenched his fist. I will follow every scenario and mission given by the system. I will do my best to emulate the king, he continued in a steady voice. Everyone stared at him. In an instant, Han Ju Hyeok no longer looked like a confused young man who had lost his way, but rather someone ready to conquer his new world.